Hello, myself Atharva Rao on behalf of the Media and Public Relations Committee of IIM Raipur. I'm honored and pleased to welcome our guest for today, Mr. Shridhar Nilakanthan, CEO of Titan Engineering and Automation Limited. Sir, we are really honored to have you here, and on behalf of IIM Raipur, we welcome you to the Business Conclave.
It's a pleasure to be here and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. And with your permission, we would like to begin this interview.
Sure.
So, sir, from your personal experience, from your MBA, we would like to know what are the key takeaways that continues to influence your life and your corporate decision making to this day.
Well, I think the first thing that the MBA course did to me is actually changed me as a person. And apart from all those various things you learn in an MBA institute, I think the greatest learning is more being self-aware, knowing about yourself, building some skills that are that I would never have picked up if I hadn't gone to an MBA institute. Apart from that, of course, it gives you a holistic picture of various aspects of business. And to be honest, I learned what I learned there to a large extent. I actually started applying much later in life. In a way, there are aspects of business that you do not really experience initial part of your careers in life, because you learn so many things, right? And you tend to put all of them together when you really get to that part of management where now all these make sense, and you then tend to really understand what you learned in MBA. So a good example is I learned about reading a P&L, a balance sheet, but I learned it very academically. But what it truly means in terms of each of those ratios, or how you read a balance sheet, or how you read a P&L, I really learned when I ran my own business, right? So when you're responsible for a business, you really now looked at what these ratios really meant. So I wish the same experience you can get in your own institute, so that you can experience it a whole lot earlier than what we experienced. Or you look at people, you learn that about people in general very academically. Organization behavior, I'm sure, is a subject for you, and you learn it quite academically. But when you start interfacing with people, and then you have teams, and you have leaders, and you manage them, and they come from various diverse backgrounds, that's when you truly experience what you really learned. In a way, these are learnings in the back of my mind, and then when you actually experience them, you then start thinking, oh my God, I learned this, can I apply? So operation management is one area which are tools, to a large extent they are tools. You learn about sciences, operation research, for example, in school. But it took me quite some time before I started looking at lean management, implementing lean management just in time, and all the various technologies that you learn of good, operations management. What you learn theoretically, you now start each one of them applying, and actually applying them now, 25 years later. Started applying what I learned in MBA school then, So every aspect of what I learned there, to a large extent, putting in practice now.
That makes sense, sir. And
so don't expect that what you learn now, you will start doing it 2 days from after you join a company. Many of these will come back to you where you really rise in your organization's ladder.
But as you said, hope we get the experience earlier.
Yeah, so I think the stuff that you guys did here in terms of doing a boardroom simulation is a very good way of how to look at various aspects of business and putting it in practice. The real type case study, though it's still a case study, but then you're really looking at, and there are business leaders with you there on how they would look at it. You reflect, and it's a great way of learning. So nothing like being in business and experiencing it. There's no other way to experience it that way.
So the next question, it arises out of, you might be knowing that we are having very good startups coming to the table, but in the point of scaling it up is somewhere many startups are failing. So my question to you is, what do you think are the most challenging aspects of transitioning the small scale operations to managing a large thriving business?
See, in any organization, it's true. I mean, every startup would have a very different journey and a very different challenge of scaling. Okay, but one common aspect you would find as scaling challenges, and they're all to do with people. When let's say you have a great idea, it's doing really well, and now you're taking off. Customers want your solutions, but then have you built an organization that is ready for that scale? So typically what happens when you start up is that you have leaders who are doing multiple tasks. But when you want to scale, you need to have systems, processes, capacity in your leadership team to take scale, build leadership below to address that scale. That becomes very important. And so that's where most people fail, is that they tend to do everything themselves, and you will not have an organization that can live up to a scale. I mean, there are many reasons. You may have all the processes and still the scale may not work because you didn't get your product right in terms of what the customer wants when it scales. A good example would be, let's take a product. I don't want to name any brand, but you have a great product, but you didn't fix that product for scale. So when you start making it in millions, first production systems ready for that. Does it give you consistent quality to address that? Then you start having these products going to market, and then you'll get a lot of after sales returns. And then customers get very unhappy, and then you don't have a service organization to service it. So then, you can't scale anymore because now we have lost customers who would have otherwise gained, right? So building an organization where your organization is ready for that scale is very essential. But people are central to it. So have you built an organization which is ready from a people point of view for that scale?
That's really valuable insight, sir. So the next question arises out of this, that not sure if you know, but we at IIM Raipur, we have this tagline called Building Business Owners. And every aspect of our curriculum or what we do here revolves around that. So my question to you is, in today's dynamic world, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs and business leaders aspiring to scale their ventures successfully? Considering from a point of view that there are new business leaders arising out of IIM Raipur, what would be your takeaways, sir?
So let's say, what advice would you give to students of IIM Raipur? Is that what you're asking? Who want to be entrepreneurs?
We can take it as that, yes.
Okay, I mean, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, but want to build a career for a young management grad, I think the only advice I would give is, build a career in an area of your passion, or find your passion and build your career around that passion. And sometimes it is that you're not clear what you want to do, so you sort of meander, but finding out your area of core interest is an important aspect, and you build a career in that. And I truly believe that when you have passion in what you want to do, at least that's true for me. I mean, I love what I do. I love going to work every day. I'm really happy getting to work. I mean, if you want to be in that zone, then you have to really have passion for what you want to do, whether it's setting up your own business or you're building a career wherever you want to build it. I think that is essential and important.
So my last question would be for you, that you did speak about the organizational behavior. You did speak about how organizational culture, the people aspects and all that needs to be maintained. So according to you, what do you think, how should companies ensure operational efficiency and maintain a very strong organizational culture, especially during periods of rapid growth?
So these are periods of rapid growth is always a challenge, and many things you tend to drop the ball, especially when you're really scaling. But one thing that is important before you scale is what you said about culture, right? What, at least in our organization, what we did is we created a certain set of values. And we said, you build an organization where these core values are essential for us to have, and all levels of organization practicing it. Then you make the organization a lot more ready for scale. If that purpose of the organization and the values of the organization is not uniformly known across the organization and practiced, it is a little difficult when you start scaling. That's, I think, is essential. Second is to invest in good leadership talent and the talent below, which means when I scale, you need to have a middle tier of the organization that is willing to take up senior roles, and your senior leadership is able to stretch, accept a greater span of control. So investing in a good talent base is leadership is an important aspect for scaling.
I think this is a really broad vision, sir. And as you said, in some years when we are in this decision-making role, I'm definitely going to remember your words, and so are our viewers. So it's been a pleasure today, sir, having you here. And we hope to see you more and more again in our IIM Raipur campus. And thank you for all your insightful advices and your thoughtful words. And thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is mine,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you.